Hi guys, it's Amy, and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for clicking on any of my videos. I really appreciate your time. I know that there are so many videos out here on YouTube to watch, and so the fact that you're going to spend any time with me seeing what's going on with me, I sincerely appreciate it. Before I get into the meat of today's video, I did just want to throw out there we still have a keepsake blanket to give away. If you have been watching the channel for very long, you have seen that this keepsake blanket, his idea has been kicking around since August, when I initially requested the squares. So I did a drawing for the recipient, for the 2 blankets, 2 recipients. One said no thank you, one was a no-show. So I drew again 2 names. One is very excited to receive hers and the other is a no-show. So I'm just trying to bring closure to this, you know, we're going on since August. So what we're going to do is, if you sent in squares and you are interested, you want to receive the keepsake blanket, just comment on this video and I will draw your name from this video before February the 15th. That way you guys, you know, I know that everybody can't watch every video every day. I get that. And I mean, maybe there was a different way to set this up to begin with. There's no storybook on how to do this the perfect way. I was trying to, you know, YouTube, I guess, is just not the best for a 2-way communication. You guys can watch the videos, but it's whenever you're going to watch them. So maybe I called your name, but you didn't have an opportunity to watch videos for a while. So, or watch my video, or choose to watch my video, or whatever. So we're bringing closure. If you sent in squares and you want the last blanket, please comment on this video. By February the 15th, I will draw one of your names and send the blanket off to you. Thank you for participating, and I hope that you're satisfied with the way that the whole keepsake blanket thing worked out. Okay, so the projects that I worked on this week, how far into a project do you get before you realize that you want to frog it out? So I started working with this yarn because I thought there's got to be something that it will work with. This is called Natural Marl, and this is the Loops and Threads brand. It's called Pearl is this colorway, and it is made up of polyester, acrylic, and wool, and it suggests a 6.5 millimeter hook. So I had one of these in this sort of gray color where it's called Pearl, I already said that. And then I had 2 skeins in this called Light Pine. And I like it. It doesn't, you know, I thought that it would make a nice colorway for whatever it was going to be. And I saw a cute little toddler's backpack type of thing. So I thought it's kind of scratchy because of the wool, and no, everybody wants polyester right up next to their skin. So I remember that from working at Taco Bell when I was a teenager. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to make it a wearable, but definitely, or like a scarf, but definitely like an item, a bag or something like that. So I saw this cute little project that was a backpack for a toddler, and I thought that I would make that. And, you know, if anybody ever works with like working down the opposite chain for the bottom of a bootie, that was the kind of the same idea here. And I started working on it, and I don't mind about how the colorway is going or anything, but it's just, it's very stretchy. Like I stopped feeling it, you know, when you're working on something and you're in the groove and then you just fall out of the groove somehow. So I'm not thrilled, and I couldn't just keep working on it at the moment. I didn't immediately frog it, but I think I'm probably going to. I don't know that this, see, the yarn is very kind of halo-y like, so I don't know that it's going to frog very nicely. So then I'm like, do I just stay the course, and then maybe if I line it, that'll be better? I don't know. I'm not loving it. So I'll get back to that here shortly. So then I'm, you know, looking through my yarns and looking through my patterns and looking through my, where am I feeling, you know, where's my groove and all that good stuff. And we started to hear about all the horrible fires in California. And I had this colorway of yarn, these little minis called Pacific Coast Highway. So they were the most beautiful. Here's my colors right here. I'll share with you. There are 3 that are sort of in the blue skein, the blue colorway. And then there are 3 that are within the red, orange, yellow. So of course, thinking, Pacific Coast, I'm thinking the blues and the yellows and stuff, and I'm thinking the sky. And so I started looking about, oh wait, that was the second one. So I still knew that I was, okay, I'm going to work with this. I mean, when you have so much yarn and you have so many patterns available, there has to be a reason that you dive into the next project. Something has to direct you, right? So the fact that this was Pacific Coast Highway. Now, again, I don't have the best eye for color work. There are colors that I grab because I think they go together, but now I don't know how to put them together. So, in some cases you just end up being stripy, and some cases that's okay. So I started working on, I just wanted something that was kind of like, I didn't want to recreate the wheel. I didn't want to look for something perfect. I didn't know what I wanted to work on. So I just started to work with a ripple, and I went into back loop only so that you would have the ridge there. Whoops, there's her right here. But, so see the ridge here, because I did back loop only. I really like that. So I don't mind the way that the colors are flowing together. I don't feel bad about it being stripy. But, so the stitch count that I went with was a little bit long. And so it's cute, it's pretty, I like the color way that it goes, but what happened was it was just like a scarf, and then I was going to put it together at the end, and then I really didn't like the way that I put it together at the end. On the yellow, I only used the yellow, on the blue, I only used the blue, but I feel like looking at it now, I was a little sloppy about it. And it's too long. I did too many repeats. So, I mean, maybe it's okay. I don't know. You can't really appreciate the back loop only. You can only sort of kind of see it. And if it gets turned inside out because it's kind of floppy, then you're only seeing the back side anyway, and then you lose all of that back loop only beauty. So this isn't the best that I ever did. And I'm probably going to pull the connecting out, is what I think. I told myself I would take out the connection and then maybe frog a repeat or 2. So if it was shorter, it would sit like this, and then you still don't see all the beauty of the color. You still don't see the back loop only. I don't know. I like the next one so much that I thought maybe I would just frog the whole thing and then do another one like that. I don't know. So then what I did was started to look up images, color palettes, sunsets, things like that showed the blues in the water, and then how the sky looked at sunset. And I was finding some with the orange, the yellow, orange, red, and then I was finding others with the red, orange, and then the yellow at the top. So I wasn't sure what order that I wanted to go in, but eventually I very much decided that this was the right order that I wanted to go in. And I knew I wasn't going to do the back loop only idea, but I still wanted some design in there. So I went with a feather and fan, and I'm really pleased with how this represents what I wanted it to. With the rippling look of the ocean, you've got the of the ocean, and the colorways, the way that it bled into. Now on the sunsets that I was seeing where the sky where you could still see the sun in the sky, that's where the yellow touched the water. But as soon as it dipped down, and then this was red and the darkest was down here, and then it lightened up into the sky, as you started to get, the darkness of the sky, then the yellow was up at the top. So that's why I was finding both, orders of the color, but I decided finally to go with the sun is actually on the water. So I like the way that this turned out. I love the way that I only ended up with that little bit of yarn left, but it doesn't necessarily give you the full beauty of it when it's on here. I mean, I guess it does, but if it's all just, you know, laying on itself and you really don't see it. So then I was like, man, did that fail out? Should I have only gone with one row of each of the colors? And then, you know, maybe you would see it more. It wouldn't stack on itself like this so much. So I'm really, really pleased working with this yarn, working with my colorways. I love the way that worked out. I love the feather and fan stitch, if you guys aren't familiar with that. So, you know, this, besides it being in the back loop, this is like a ripple or a wave. There are a lot of different stitch counts that you'll find, and it's just basically the idea of coming up from a mountaintop. You go down the hill into the valley, back up the hill to the mountaintop, and you do that. Sometimes, you know, they're chevrons that are much spikier. Sometimes they're a lot looser like this. So just find somebody that you like watching a tutorial of, and, you know, dependent on if you like what their stitch count is or not. This is the one that I decided to go with on mine, on this feather and fan. So this one has got 5 double crochets in the top 2 stitches, and then you start with your chain 1 space 1s right after that. So I think you had 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 more space. So you got 7 double crochets here. So that's the one that I chose for this cowl. You know, I knew that having the yarn to begin with was only 92 yards each of the 6 skeins. So, you know, it wasn't a whole lot of yarn, 552 yards. So then I split it in half, and so I don't know. I like the colorways. I like the pattern. I just don't like that you lose a lot of it when you're wearing it. You don't, you know, it just sits on itself like that. So maybe if you specifically, I don't know. I don't know. Somebody will like it. I'm not frogging this one. Not at all. It's just this one that I'm not sure, because you lose so much. It's so long, and it just, I don't know. I want to love my projects more than this, but I know that not everything I'm going to do all the time is going to be fantastic, you know? Okay. So this next one is such a great, I thought it was going to be perfect, and then it's not. Okay, so this yarn that I'm working with here is called Blossoms by Wonderland Yarns, and it was, it's an ombre, if you will, where it starts in the center as one color, ends up as a different color. At the end, it's called Bronze Amaranth. And it is beautiful yarn. It is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, and there's 425 yards in here. I love this colorway. I love the way that this worked out. It is fabulous. But the pattern, okay. So the tutorial is done with one of those giant, you know, 1,000-yard sheep sheaves or something like that. It's a lot more yarn than what I had. And she used a 4mm hook, and I went up to a 5mm, so I thought I was kind of making mine bigger in that regard. Okay. You know me when I get excited about something, how I talk over myself like that. So this is a shawl by Wilma Westenberg. And if you know her at all, you know that she meets people and then names her work after them, her patterns. And so this one was called the Vela shawl. And in this shawl, the little girl Vela likes flowers. And so because this was called Blossoms by Wonderland, Blossoms, I thought the flower shawl would be perfect. Well, it's a giant full-size shawl. And so in the shawl, Wilma has designed 3 different flowers for Vela. And so the main shawl that she's done has all 3 flowers in it, but then she breaks down the pattern so that if you prefer only one of the flowers, you can make the whole shawl in just that flower. So that's what I thought I was doing. However, um, the row counts didn't put me at the end of my yarn. I was on an odd row to end in. So I'm not pleased with the way that it looks. It's not supposed to look like this. And the yarn, fortunately for me, frogs very nicely. I continued to miscount along the way, and so I did have to frog some rows here and there, and now I'm gonna, I think, frog the entire thing. So let me just show you. So this is the starting color, if you will, and there's some solids. And then she does this row of front post double crochets and some back loop onlys. So you get through there, and then these are the flowers. And this was the second flower in the group, you know, of her 3-flower shawl. And so I decided that the second flower is the one that I wanted to do. But what I think for me, if as I redo this, I am going to lessen the number of flowers. So her pattern continued on to give you 4 rows of flowers. And for me, that's too many for the repeats of the yarn that I have. So I think I'm going to redo it with only 2 rows of flowers. But then you can see here, she goes back to the front posts and the back loop onlys. And, you know, so you've got another solid section as it goes out. Okay, so here is what I ended up with. So I've got all of these rows of the flowers and then only enough yarn to complete 2 little rows at the bottom. And I want it to have, you know, more of like, this should be the way that the shawl ends, you know, much more uniform to the rest of the pattern, you know. So I think I'm going to redo this. I think what I'm going to do is take out 1 or 2 from here so that even this section goes a little bit shorter. I don't know. I hate to redo somebody's pattern. Her shawl is gorgeous, and so I definitely want to remake this shawl full size with one of those giant cakes that's got the yarn that I need. When you know, make a smaller one, it doesn't always work out. So, I mean, I guess you could, as it stands right now, I could keep it as it is. It shows you the ombre of the color. That's very pretty. But there's so much detail in the flowers are all completely gone here. And so I don't think that this pattern necessarily lent itself to being shrunken up and put on my neck instead of fully on my back. So in addition to that, I was trying to think of the ways that I was trying to make the pattern work. I went with a child version. The rows do different things if it's a child version or an adult version. So I was even trying to make it smaller from doing the child version, but that didn't get me anywhere. So I'm really, really pleased with how beautiful the colorway is. That purple that ends up at the bottom like that. It's just so pretty. And when I was working in this yellow section, it felt like that purple was never going to come. But then when I was able to step back from it, I could see the color start to change a little bit. So yeah, would you frog a completed project like that? I'm going to frog this one, I promise. And you're going to love whatever the next completed project is with it. But yeah, I'm heavy on that because I want this to be something better. I don't want this, because this was expensive. This was $37. And whoops, it's not like I'm just going to go out and buy a second one to finish it. I don't necessarily want it to start with white again. You know, it doesn't blend back to white. It would be like an abrupt purple to white, you know. I don't want to do that. So yeah, I know I'm going to pull this out and make something better with it. I am also going to revisit the shawl with a full amount of yarn that I should, so that is a realized project, because it's gorgeous. It really, really is pretty. I'll link it all down below, obviously, so that you guys can go take a look at Wilma's patterns. But I thought that was so perfect. I was so excited as I was working through it, and but keep a smile on your face. You know, like I said, not everything you do is going to be fantastic every time. This was a week of, I'm not going to say fails, but yeah, stuff didn't turn out the way I expected it to. And there's a lot of work here. And so to kind of consider it not wasted, but you just have to learn from it, right? Sometimes you're not in the best frame of mind to start a new pattern, and so you can't see it clearly. So right now I have started something that is a very, very simple 2 rows of mesh and 2 rows of solid double crochets pattern, so that I know that I'm going to have a completed project when I'm done with it. So, all right, guys, I hope you've had a more successful crochet week than I have. Keep smiling, keep happy. I hope you're well. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and I hope you'll come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.